If your hair is too dry and flaky, you probably wish that you could increase your natural oils. But if it's super oily, you want the exact opposite. Less shine, fewer clogged pores, and way less acne. And this, we're gonna hop into my computer, but let me tell you what I'm gonna teach you. First, we're gonna talk about what sebum actually is and what controls it. Why there's no magic sebum booster, but I have some secrets for you that can control its balance, so whether to increase it or decrease it in a healthy way. We're gonna stabilize. A deep dive into burdock root and how it works in the skin. Herbs that activate and lower sebum for higher sebum flow or lower sebum flow or just control. Best ways to use them and all of the stuff that you shouldn't do, because you know I can't go without that. So make sure you hype this video and give this video a thumbs up while we hop into my computer. Let's go.
Don't take it personal, that's just Sandal's way. She speak with love.
If you want to follow along, make sure you head over to my website, which I have going across the bottom of the screen. When you head over to my website and then click on blogs, right, then it will take you straight over to this page. Actually, I'll go ahead and show you really quick, right? So my website's going across the bottom of the screen. If you want to go along with me, right, we will go over to the home page. Let me make sure you guys can see. Let me see. Did it switch us over? Yep. So this is the home page on my website, right? So you will head over, click on the home page of my website, and then the next thing that you would do is go over where it says more and then click on blog. And when you click on blog, then what you will see is this blog post that we are reading from right now. So not only does this blog post have everything that we'll be reading today, at the very, very bottom of this blog post, right? Because everybody's like, what are your credentials? It doesn't matter. I'll never share a degree, a certification, anything online. But what I will do is give you the facts and show you where you can unpack them yourself. So this is what we're going over today. And right here, hold on, I'm gonna tell you where it starts, right? Right here, starting here, this is where every single study that I'm going to reference, here are all of the links. Everything we'll go over, you can look and read through these studies yourself, okay? So there's nothing that is going to come out of my mouth today that I am going to be saying is Bible first. I am a research scientist. I stick to facts. Emotions move nothing. Okay. Give me a 6 in the chat if you understand what I said. And if you heard what I just said, give me a 6 really quick in the chat. Just so we know that is where we're going. That is our focus tonight. So make sure that if you came in here with emotion, let's prove somebody wrong, this is not the place for you. But however, even though I'm a little under the weather tonight, I'm also in a really good mood. And when I'm in a really good scientific mood, I kind of love to have conversations, but educated conversations. So depending on how I feel at the end, I may add a link for a few people to come up and ask the question, some pushback or whatever, right? So let's get into it, guys. Thank you for sticking through that introduction. I appreciate it. Okay. So moving along, drinking a little bit of water. So, sebum, herbs, and skin balance. A deep dive guide with studies to match. Okay. So, sebum, herbs, and skin balance is something that I need you to be focused on, because most of the time you'll see just one thing and say, oh, I need to figure out how to get my sebum out, or I need to figure out what the best herbs to drink or to put on my hair, where in reality, you need to figure out what holistic practice altogether you need to focus on. So that's what we're doing tonight. Okay. If your skin is too dry and flaky, you're probably somebody who wishes that they can boost their natural oils, right? But if it's really, really oily, you want the exact opposite: less shine, fewer clogged pores, and way less acne. So, either way, the real goal isn't more or less, it's about balance, right? So, today, in this post, in this article, this is what we'll be breaking down: what sebum actually is and what controls it, why there's no magic sebum booster herb, but we can support balance. Next up, a deep dive into Bodoc root and how it works on and with the skin, along with other herbs and active additives that can lower sebum for very, very oily skin, with human studies to back it, right? And then that's not it. We are also going to go over the best ways to use them, whether it's in tea, tinctures, capsules, toners, masks, and salves. All right. And lastly, we're going to go into safety notes that you really, really need to get into. And to me, the safety notes are one of the most important things. So if you're excited about this and you can still hear me, again, give me a 6 in the chat. Okay. Okay. So this is something that we all need to make sure we're paying attention to. When this video is over, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below to my skin cell turnover video, because it's really, really important that you are able to grasp both concepts one at a time, right? Right. One at a time. It's so important. So as we're moving along, right, when we hop into this, it's time to talk about skin cell turnover, because the first thing you want to do if you have dry scalp, the first thing you want to do is run to an oil or run to a butter and things of that nature. But the thing is, where are you putting the oil? Where are you putting the butter? This is not a rhetorical question. Can I get at least one person to respond to me? If you are using oils and butters and greases, where are you putting them? If your scalp is dry, where is the place that you're putting oils and butters and greases? It's not a rhetorical question. I need at least one person to act like they hear a sister, right? Where are you putting the product that you need to heal your dry and oil, your dry scalp, your flaky scalp, your burning scalp? Where are you putting it? And somebody said your ends, but the majority of people, if you had something going on with your scalp, they would think that the first place that you would put it is on your scalp. Somebody said your ends, but no, most people, the majority of people think that the place that you are supposed to put it is on your end. I mean, on your scalp. See, girl, you got me messing up. It's on the scalp, right? But the truth of the matter is that is the last place that you should put anything. Why? Because your body, not only does your body produce its own sebum, your body has a way to remove things that it no longer needs, right? And so skin cell turnover is one of those things. So if your scalp feels dry or off after a recent reset, right? And this is a conversation that somebody within the 7-day challenge we had, right? Because she's going through, and I'm going to show you her scalp in a second. She is going through the beginning stages of resetting her skin cell turnover cycle, because within the 7-day hair growth challenge and the growth cycle blueprint, that is my main focus: to reset your hair growth cycle so that I can, or we can collectively together in co-creation with your body, control your sebum flow, right? But there is absolutely nothing that I can do with your body. There is absolutely nothing that we can do from the outside if the outside layers are not completely cleansed and clear. And most of the time, that is the issue. So again, the answer was the scalp. That is where most people put products. And the correct place that you should put it is on the ends. So you guys weren't wrong, but the majority of people put the product on the scalp. And that is where we are getting away from today. The people who said the ends, that's because you like, girl, we're not supposed to put it on the scalp. It's only supposed to be on the end. You had the right nerdy answer. The question was, what are the people who doing it wrong doing, right? So, skin cell turnover works in cycles, not overnight, right? So, somebody on average, their skin renews itself every 28 to 30 days. But if you are somebody who is repairing their scalp, so let's say you are a part of the 7 day challenge or the growth cycle blueprint, and you have a brand new pattern, a brand new routine that's resetting and detoxing the scalp and all of the things, then let's say you've been off balance for, let's say you've been following Team Natural for the last 20 years, the last 10 years, the last 8 years, right? Well, every 28 to 30 days, the skin cells on your scalp die off, and then they make their way up. They're supposed to fall off so that new skin along with new hair comes up. But if you've been oiling and greasing and buttering the scalp, you've thrown off that cycle. So once you begin to reset that cycle, then all of those layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of dead skin that you continue to rehydrate with your oils and butters, these are the things that end up confusing you, right? And we're going to hop into sebum really quick, but somebody don't listen. Don't get upset with me. We're going to watch this video really quick together because I really want you guys to see, right? Hold on really quick. I really want you guys to see the way that misinformation is spread across social media, right? So again, I'm going to share the screen one last time, right? Because, well, outside of outside of the article that we're going over, because people get really confused about what sebum is, right? Oh, so a lot of people get really, really confused about what sebum is exactly, and there is so much misinformation across social media, and this is a really, really clear example of one of those things, right? Because people hear about sebum. Remember, this time about 10 years ago, nobody acknowledged sebum in any way, shape, or form. Nobody ever acknowledged it. But now in 2025, somebody hears about sebum and they just like, this is sebum. This is it. And this is the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. But I want you to see it. I want you to watch this with me because you're gonna think I'm making it up, and I'm not making it up. So hold on. Let me turn this music down. Hold on, y'all. And that's why I said I'm deleting. Well, this will be for members only because I'll like chop and screw this and stuff, and this will be in a whole nother video. But just girl, listen, look.
So guys, I'm going to show you exactly how.
Can you hear that? Give me a 2 in the chat if you were able to hear that. Really quick. Give me a 2 in the chat. Anybody, somebody, anybody, if you were able to hear that. I just don't want to keep playing it if you were not able to hear it. So if you heard that, give me a 2 in the chat. Somebody, anybody. Okay, perfect. All right. Girl, my socks, girl.
So guys, I'm going to show you exactly how the sebum looks like, the natural oils from our scalp. I always talk about sebum, but you guys, you have to see what it actually looks like. Guys, this one, look at this. I'm just scratching my scalp. I haven't even applied any retiang on my scalp, but look at the sebum. So this is actually sebum from the scalp, from my scalp.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a god. I'm sorry. I was about to cuss. Wait a doggone minute. Now, when we begin to learn information, when we begin to learn scientific information that we have never heard of before, things that are brand new to us, we begin to just take things at face value without really doing the proper research. So I need you to understand that when you have braids in your hair for a long time, this crud that she's scraping up, this has sebum mixed into it. But my love, this is not sebum. This is dead skin cells. This is some of the particles that are in the urine that comes out of your that comes out of your whatchamacallit. It's some small particles of urine are in the scalp, come out of the pores. That's what that is. Sweat, dead skin, product buildup, oils, dead Demodex mites. That's what this is. This is not sebum, you guys. So I'm going to rewind the video again. And as I'm rewinding the video, I need you to pay attention to where she pulls this from. Look at her scalp. Look at the braids. Look at the yellowness. That is not sebum. Those are dead Demodex mites. And if you are not new to my channel, you've seen me talk about this before multiple times. This is just it in real life. Like, this is not sebum, guys.
So guys, I'm going to show you exactly how the sebum looks like, the natural oils from our scalp. I always talk about sebum, but you guys, you have to see what it actually looks like, guys. This one, look at this. I'm just scratching my scalp. I haven't even applied any retiang on my scalp, but look at the sebum. So this is actually sebum from the scalp, from my scalp. I haven't applied anything on my scalp, I think, for coming from my scalp. See that? Look.
So I don't really want to watch too much of that, but I want to give you guys a clear view and a clear representation of how it looks whenever people just get on social media spreading misinformation. That is not sebum. That is dead skin particles. That thick thing that you see on, that's not sebum. If you want to see what sebum truly looks like, look at your scalp. I mean, look at your face. First thing in the morning, when you wake up in the morning and you have that, your skin is oily and you're like, oh my God, my skin is so oily and you have to wash it. That's sebum. That's sebum. Okay. So this is something that I really, really want us to get in the routine and the pattern of understanding, because it's going to constantly be a never ending cycle of you guys getting misinformation, following it, and then falling right back into the same cycle if you guys don't really take that precaution, right? So give me 1 second. So, is everybody ready to move along? Before we keep going, I need everybody to get in the mind frame of understanding the true context of the things that you're learning, right? You can't just pick up, oh, natural oil comes out of the scalp and then leave it there. No, it is now time for you to understand, okay, what is the natural oil that comes from the scalp? What should I be doing with the natural oil that comes from the scalp? How do I increase it? What slows it down? These are the things that you have to be concerned with, because you just scratching your scalp or whatever's under your nails, that's not sebum. It's not. It's not. It's leftover sebum and exploded Demodex mites. That's what she just showed you under her nails. Exploded Demodex mites, not sebum. Okay. So, what is sebum? Sebum is your skin's natural oil made by the sebaceous gland, which is attached to the hair follicle. It is a mix of triglycerides, wax esters, and squalene, and cholesterol, as well as fatty acids. It does many things. It lubricates the skin and the hair. It supports the skin barrier, the stratum corneum I taught you guys about. It also carries antioxidants to the surface of the skin, but too little sebum, which really will equal tight and dull and more prone to irritation and fine lines. That'll be what's going on your skin. If your sebum flow is a little too light or too much sebum, it'll end up giving you hair that's shiny, but you'll have clogged pores and more acne prone. Most people who have acne have really high sebum levels. And that is most of the time the issue. So if you think about it, if you're a person who has like you're really acne prone, most of the products that you use are purposely really drying. Why? Because sebum has so many properties, but sometimes our diets and things of that nature end up causing things to become unbalanced, and this will be the thing that ends up getting this will be the thing that ends up getting more irritation to the scalp and all of the things. So it's something that most people really completely ignore and throw under the bus, but it's truly one of the most important things, right? So what does this mean? What mainly drives sebum, right? So the first thing that drives sebum is your androgens, especially DHT. This is a big driver of oil output. So if we use somebody like myself for an example, I have an extremely high sebum level, but my body also deals with something called hidradenitis suppurativa, where my body produces way too much estrogen, right? So from what I just told you about the hormones as it pertains to sebum flow, my body produces too much because it is based on my hormones. I'm producing too many hormones, so I'm producing a little bit too much sebum, right? And I broke that down a little bit more in another video that I'll leave in the description box below, but that's just an example, right? Also, it could have a lot to do with your genetics, right? Inflammation around the hair follicle, which most people have, that grease and oil and butter the scalp. Also, your diet, your stress, and your skincare products. All of these things are really wrapped up into your sebum flow and your sebum production. So when we're talking about herbs, we are really talking about anti-inflammatory actions, right? Things that get rid of the inflammation. Next up, we're talking about is antioxidant effects. These are the things that your body is normally lacking or needing, or the things that are more supportive that help the body to fight off the different infections that cause the inflammation, that causes the sebum flow to either decrease or be increased. Give me a 3 in the chat if anything that I'm saying is making sense. All right. Also, for subtle hormone modulation or anti-androgen actions, this is something, because what I want you to think about it, when we're talking about androgenetic alopecia, what is happening is your body is literally, your immune system is attacking your hair follicle. Right. And the only reason the immune system is attacking the hair follicle is because there's what? Inflammation. So androgenetic alopecia, I remember me and AQBS, when AQBS was on here, and even on his channel, he has a whole video letting you guys know, saying like, okay, androgenetic alopecia is not real. That's not to say that, oh, people that have androgenetic alopecia don't really have it. No, it is to say that this is something that is way more blown up than it really needs to be, because it's not a big deal. If we stop the inflammation, you can stop the attack on the hair follicle, right? So this is where herbs come in. It's not that, oh my God, cure everything in life with herbs. No. But when we are talking about inflammation, right? If most of your problems are being caused by inflammation, wouldn't you need something to get rid of the inflammation? Well, here we go. And antioxidant effects, here we go. Subtle hormone modulating and anti-androgen actions, yeah, that you need all of that. I know I do. That's why this next one that I'm going to give you guys is my number one. Also, you need antimicrobial action on the skin for bacteria and yeast overgrowth, along with barrier support so the skin stops overreacting to things. Because a lot of times, your body is so magnificent that any threat, anything that the body sees as a threat is like, I don't know what's going on, but things need to stop, right? So, what herbs are best to increase sebum? This is the reality check that we need, because when people try different things, this is what they miss. It's not as simple as just using a product like, okay, I have this herb and I'm going to use this herb on my skin and everything's going to be okay. No, it's not that simple. It is down to, okay, what is your body dealing with? And then what are the key constituents of this herb going to do to aid you in the thing that your body is dealing with, right? So when we're talking about dry skin, most of the time, if your skin is dry, it's also tight, and you are somebody that wants to increase your oil production. And this is most Black women, right? Most Black women, when I say don't oil the scalp, don't grease the scalp, you fight against me because you hold on to the fact and swear by the fact that because you're a Black woman, your body does not produce oil, it does not produce sebum, and that is not true. It's not. And these are facts on top of facts. Okay. But there is something that is stopping the hair growth cycle. There is something that is stopping the skin cell turnover cycle. And if the skin cell turnover cycle is thrown off, there is inflammation. Listen, if there is inflammation, remember how I told you that the hair follicle has immune privilege where the immune system doesn't see it? But guess what? If the skin cell turnover cycle is off, and you have inflammation due to all of these layers of dead skin that don't allow things to escape from the follicle, then what's going to happen? Your immune system is going to begin to attack your hair follicle. Your body will begin to produce less and less sebum through the patterns of you adding more. The body's like, okay, well, I no longer need to produce this because obviously there's something else aiding. So the deduction of all of these patterns, routines, and products on the scalp, they change everything. Okay. So let's talk about increasing sebum. Give me a 2 in the chat if you're still with me and ready to move on talking about increasing sebum. Give me a 2 in the chat really quick. I'll put your comments back on the screen so I can see you while I'm talking. All right. All right, let's move along. I'm going to take this banner off. I hope you guys have my website up so you can read along. Okay, so herbs can help the skin's balance by reducing inflammation, oxidative stress, and barrier damage, which may help to normalize sebum over time. Oils and emollients, plant oils, and all of the other great key constituents that they have are more direct tools for dry skin than internal herbs most times. Because the thing of the matter is, when we're talking about the extracts and tinctures that I have within Simple Apothecary, or extract or tincture in general, when we are talking about when we're talking about targeting a specific issue within the body, the fastest way to target it is with an extraction of the herb, right? It's going to be the fastest way. Can it be done with the herb? Yes, but that would be over a way longer time frame. We're talking about seeing results over a 4 to 6 month period versus a 2 to 3 month period, right? So these, or probably longer, maybe like 8 months to a year. Yeah, let's say about 8 months to a year with drinking tea, and about 3 to 4 months when we're taking an extract or a tincture, because it's just way more concentrated, right? So you have two options within the Simple Apothecary. It's up to you, right? Which process you want to take. If you're good with the 6 months to a year, we are going to do the Moon Cycle Brew with red clover tops and Bodock root. Love it. And then the extract that I have is also with Bodock root and blue butterfly pea flower. It is one of our most popular extracts. And if you want, at the end of this video, I'll give you a before and after of a little girl who had bald spots in her hair from some Team Natural Practices, oil and greasing and tight braids. And her mother was able to reduce the inflammation and everything that I'm talking about with Bodock root. So give me a 3 in the chat if you want me to go over hers whenever we get out of here, because I will go ahead and do that for you, right? So when we were talking about Bodock root, right? Bodock root has a long history in herbalism as a blood purifier and a skin supporting herb. So modern research has so many different forms of supporting evidence and a lot of peer-reviewed studies that I added within this article. So if you head over to my website, which we already talked about where it is, then you will be able to look over all of those studies on your own, because we will not be doing that tonight, but I will show you where it is, right? So when we're talking about the key active compounds within Bodock root, it's not enough to just say, oh, Bodock root make your hair grow. No, what in Bodock root is doing this, right? So this first key constituent is amazing, right? Because what it does, it acts as, again, a purifier of the blood, a purifier of the scalp, all of the things. So of course, you taking a herb, you taking an extract isn't going to cleanse the surface of your scalp. You have to do that. This is why, on top of the things that I'm telling you today, I always say nothing goes on the scalp but shampoo. You have to cleanse the scalp and things of that nature, because you are in co-creation with your body. Your body will do all of these things normally, just like your heart still beats all night when you're asleep, right? Your scalp will do it automatically, but you have to make sure that the environment of the scalp is conducive for it to do those things, right? So these compounds show antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial activities in lab and animal studies. So all of these key constituents, which you can see for yourself when you head over to the blog, when you see the full video, it'll pop up on the screen. But all of these key constituents within Bodock root, it is absolutely amazing, and it does all of the things that we need it to do when you are in this state, right? Whether it's dry scalp or oily scalp, clogged pores, clogged follicles, restarting a hair growth cycle, restarting a skin cell turnover cycle, here you go. Because this tackles inflammation around the hair follicles and the sebaceous gland, because they get worse when you have clogged pores. You'll have different pains that you don't really understand, redness, and acne lesions, right? Extracts. These things are absolutely great because, again, it ends up inhibiting the inflammatory pathway in general, and it reduces inflammatory production within the skin in general. So when we're talking about the actions that lead to the inflammation that cause the scaling, the baldness, the burning, the redness, all of the things that cause the inflammation, that pathway, that road that leads to the inflammation is blocked. So imagine it like, okay, it's a gang of little things that are going to cause inflammation on your scalp. And the only way, excuse me, that they could cause that inflammation is if they drive directly up to the scalp. Well, this makes it impossible. It cuts off the pathway. You cannot pass, right? Like that's how it is. So that's something that is so important because when we're talking about anti-inflammatory things and when we're talking about different microbes on the scalp that overpopulate, this is something that does it. So again, head over to the blog post and make sure you go to the bottom and make sure you read through all of those studies. They're long, but they have all of the information that you need. So if you're new to my channel and you're one of those people like, what are your qualifications? Again, not dropping any of my degrees for anybody, but I will drop the information and the pathways for you to go and educate yourself, right? So, number 2, anti-acne peptides from burdock root. This is something that I love, right? Because this is one really interesting study that isolated peptides from burdock root and tested them in context of acne. And researchers found that these peptides had antioxidant and anti-acne activity, including antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory effects. So in labs and in early experimental work, burdock root peptides showed anti-acne activity. And like I said earlier, people who have acne normally have a whole lot of issues when it comes to sebum production. It's imbalance, it's too much or too little. These are the things that I really want you to think about. Burdock root is often used in certain formulas for oily or acne prone skin, as recent studies have shown you that these results from burdock root and its extract help with seborrheic dermatitis, and it helps with the sebaceous gland by modulating the sebaceous gland activity in general. So if it's overactive, like mine, my sebaceous gland gets overactive, this regulates it, right? And it's mild antibacterial action on the skin and the microbes and your different microbial effects that are in your gut, right? The microbes that are in your gut. It has an amazing effect on that, which in return really helps with skin texture and anti-aging. Its data on it is immaculate, right? Because certain forms of topical burdock root fruit extracts end up really doing amazing things to the skin. It improves dermal different matrices in the skin along with the metabolism. So I'm not a dermatologist, but when you look into the skin and the way that the skin works, right? When you talk about burdock root, when we talk about the different things that causes your skin to look kind of wonky and things of that nature, most of the time it is different bacteria that is within the scalp that ends up causing it to sag. So it deals with a lot of that, and also your blood flow, your blood circulation, and it handles all of those things as well. So now we're getting into oily skin even more. The last one, it started off with dry skin and then it led us into oily skin, but burdock root is great for both. So right now we're talking about green tea and peppermint, right? So give me a 2 if whether or not you've ever heard of green tea and peppermint being something that can aid you in your sebum flow or your sebum production, any of those things. Let me know within the chat, right? So when we're talking about green tea, this is probably the best herb that has anything documented as it pertains to sebum flow and all of the things, right? So the star components in green tea are EGCG. Now, in the video that I'm going to leave in the description box below, I already break down peppermint and green tea. Is the Zen gunpowder blend within Simple Apothecary, which is our top seller for sure. And it has antioxidants, is anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and mild anti-androgenic effects. So remember what we just talked about, right? So, when we're talking about the human data that it has, several studies have tested topical green tea for sebum, right? And studies using 3% of tea tree, green tea extract, on certain forms of oily skin, because remember, every type of oily skin is not the same. That's why I started off saying that I am not a dermatologist. We're really focused on the scalp, so I'm not talking about the skin on your face, okay? Even though it's the same, I'm just letting you know, okay? So this is found about a 60% reduction in sebum over an 8-week period. So again, if they had 3% of green tea extract within their facial cream, it ended up reducing sebum production by 60% after using it over an 8-week period. So I really want y'all to pay attention to every study that I'm going to leave you. None of these studies are saying it's going to work overnight. None of them. Right? So most of them is going to take a little bit longer than a month or two. So these are the things that I need you to remember, right? A trial of green tea versus green tea plus lotus and multiple things showed significant reduction in casual sebum secretions versus other ones in 60 days, after a 60-day period, right? So these are the things that you really, really have to understand, because there are so many different studies that back green tea as being something that can modulate your sebum production, right?